Welcome to the Box Score Sports Podcast.
Let's go to our ugly. Eric, give me your ugly for week 12.
I'm going with Tampa Bay Buccaneers, my team. They did not show up last night. The Rams were awesome. I mean, they were dominant. They on both sides of the ball. But it didn't look like the Bucs came to play. The offense looked pretty stagnant. And you combine that with at the end of the half, you clearly seen on the touchdown throw Baker threw. You clearly see he wasn't doing well right after that touchdown throw. And then on a pretty meaningless, like I don't understand the logic because the likelihood of that winding up in a touchdown in the last 5 seconds of the game where they were on the field, he tries to whip the ball down the field. He hurts himself even more. That's get pulled out of the game. It's out of reach anyways. Put Teddy Bridgewater in there. I understand that, but just like he might have hurt himself more. He might miss this week. And thankfully the Panthers lost yesterday. But like now your goal is to win the NFC South
Yeah.
because like that's all your focus is on it. Like you almost need a bench. There's a chance you don't play Mayfield this week just to let him rest, so that way you're ready for the Panthers when they come into town. It was
Yeah.
such an ugly loss. Great for the Rams. They looked dominant.
Yes.
Awesome. They won that game. They dominated that game, but Tampa didn't. They looked bad last week.
Yeah. And
This week,
who do they have? They play this week?
Cardinals.
Yeah. So that they might be able to survive. Cardinals aren't very good. So they might be able to survive that with Bridgewater, which is good. But, if this injury might haunt Baker the rest of the season, depending on, you know, uh, if it's like something torn or something. But then they have the Saints after that. So maybe even if they could somehow win this week, they might be able to like survive 2 weeks without Baker. Who knows? But anyway, yeah, it was a tough performance. I would say the Rams kind of got way ahead very quickly as well, which put your team in a bad position because like you couldn't really, you kind of were forced to put him in a bad situation to pass the football at times where it would have been nice because of the Rams pass rush to run the ball, but once you're down by 3 scores, you gotta start scoring quick, and that was unfortunate as well. But I think it goes back to what you said. Basically, one team came to play and the other one didn't, and the Rams, like you said, look really good. So I feel bad for you, but I think better days are ahead. But we got
Well,
to get Baker into the playoffs healthy, and I think you still got a shot.
well, yeah, and I still think they're going to win the South because it's just not that tough of a division, so they'll still be in the playoffs. So, and to me, an epitome of a play that showed what team came to play and team didn't. I like Kate Auden a lot, but that interception where the ball's in the Ram in his hands. First of all, he bobbled it, and then it's in his hands, and the Rams players took it away from him to return it for a touchdown. To me, that's the epitome of who wants it more. And like Cade didn't want it more, and like that. And I'm not saying him specifically, but at that moment, that's what it looked like. It's like the Rams wanted to put a statement on Sunday night, and they did. They really did. And yeah, but it's all about for Tampa winning the division at this point.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Okay. My ugly. So remember we talked about if you haven't we talked about the great with the Texans getting 8 sacks on Josh Allen. Let me ask you, do you think that was the most sacks a team got this this weekend?
Uh, I just assume the Broncos get a ton every week, so I
Yeah.
just assume them.
The most sacks was given up get done by the Browns with 10 sacks and 20 QB hits. My ugly
Okay.
goes to the offensive line of the Las Vegas Raiders. And they fired their offensive coordinator, so they also get to be in the ugly in this. They lose to the Browns 24-10 with Shador Sanders with his first start, who had a QBR of 8.7. So the whole team gets an ugly. The Raiders, their structure, their GM, their coach. But I want to specifically give it to the offensive line because, man, to allow 20 hits and 10 QB sacks is absolutely ridiculous. and I don't know if the problem is Geno Smith and or Genty. Uh, it's not, and I don't think you will ever know truly if it is or not until you fix that offensive line. And that is probably, guys, I'll say this again. This is why you don't draft running backs and tight ends high because they can be really great athletes and really great players, but if you don't have other positions, it means more for your success of your team, specifically in the trenches. Uh, they didn't have a good offensive line coming into the season before the draft. They still don't, and now it's really showing.
Oh, and you can be the world's most talented running back, but when you're dodging people 3 yards in the backfield, it's really hard to get positive plays.
The only one I saw
And
do that is Barry Sanders.
yeah, but he also had the most negative plays in
No,
NFL history, I'm
that's
pretty
right.
sure too.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're not as great as he was. He still has that, he has that against him, But that's because he always played behind terrible offensive
Well,
lines.
I was gonna say, is that actually a positive that he'd rush for almost 2,000 yards every season and he has the most negative plays as well? Because that just shows that he's getting hit in the backfield a ton.
Yeah, that's true. But that was Barry. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
the only thing I will say is like Myles Garrett, I think is the best pass rusher in the NFL, and I don't think it's really all that close.
Hmm.
Um, he's the only pass rusher I know that he reminds me of. I was telling our dad about this. He reminds me of like I remember prime Aaron Donald could get triple teamed and he'd still be getting sacks, so he was that much better than whoever he was versing. And that's what Myles Garrett reminds me of right now. Not obviously they're not the same play style, but just like you can double, you can triple him, it doesn't make a difference.
Hmm.
He's going to get to the quarterback. There's not much you can do to stop him, or he's going to disrupt the play. So that's the only thing I'll give a little bit of an asterisk with the for the Raiders. They're versing probably the best pass rusher right now in the league, um, but it's still no excuse to give up 20 QB hits and that 10 sacks. That's your 30 times your QB's under duress, and you don't get 30. You only get what four, and then what you run 10 times. So pretty much every time the QB was throwing the ball, he was under duress. Like that. That's not a winning formula. Um, I don't understand what the Raiders were doing this year at all. Nothing about what they did made sense. They grabbed Geno because he looked okay for Seattle, and they hire Pete Carroll, who's as their head coach, who's he can't have much long left in his career.
He's 74,
And
I think, 73 or
yeah,
74.
and I like Pete Carroll in Seattle, but like he's at the twilight of his career. He needs a coach. They want to do a win now, but their team ain't built to win now. They
That,
need offensive. They weren't a quarterback away. They weren't a coach away. They were multiple players away,
mhm.
and they wanted a head start. But I think they put themselves behind schedule because I think they're going to have to draft a QB again. They're going to have to get offensive linemen again. And they're going to be bad for a couple of years and they'll have to rebuild. And by that time, you might not be re-signing Gentry because you can't really afford that's your high price position. So I feel like the Raiders put themselves way behind the eight ball with this offseason.
Oh yeah, I don't like how high they drafted a running back. I'm very much opposed, but it's like they got so many holes. And Genty, I think, is going to be a really good running back, but he needs like any other running back, you need an offensive line. Like Saquon Barkley in the modern age was the best running back on a bad team, and he was unable to get the Giants to a consistent winning situation. Like you have to build the team from the trenches. This is something me and you strongly believe in. Bowers is great. I'm not trying to knock on Bowers
Oh,
either, but it's just like so in this game he had 6 receptions for 55 yards, and you're not even close to beating the Browns. So get an offensive line. The Geno Smith, totally agree with you on that. But the only thing I would say just in defense of Geno is like I don't think like Sam Darnold, Jared Goff. There's a lot of quarterbacks. If you put them in this situation,
oh yeah.
they're getting destroyed too. They're 2-9 either way. Is what I'm trying to say.
But hey, shout out to the Browns and
Yeah.
getting a win with Shooter Sanders at quarterback.
Y-
Uh,
Do
and
you find
so
yourself kind of rooting for him at this point?
so it was so funny because before the draft, I really disliked him,
Yeah, me
and
too.
nothing him personally, but it's
Right.
just like the media attention around him and stuff like that. It's a lot like why I dislike LeBron James in basketball. Is it's just too much media hype. It's like I dislike the Cowboys, too much media hype. And but now because of what the Browns have done.
Yeah.
with drafting him after drafting another quarterback, giving two other quarterbacks chances, and they're terrible. And it's not like the quarterbacks, like I've sent you videos of Dylan Gabriel on TikTok. Like, this is why he's starting. And he's look at this throwaway pass that, was within 10 yards of a receiver. Like,
Right.
like the jokes. And it's like, okay, so why ain't Sanders starting? What would be the issue now? And now I'm rooting for him because it's like you got screwed over by the Browns so badly that now I want you to succeed, but at the same time, I don't want you to succeed for Cleveland.
Well, it's funny because I find myself actually rooting for him. I don't care if he succeeds in Cleveland or not. I just want, like, I'm 100% with you. Before the draft, they're like, oh, he's a top 10 pick, and like, no, he's not. And they're hyping him up because it's Deion Son. I think where it changed for me is when he fell all the way to fifth round, and it's just like, really, as important as the QB position is, he falls to the fifth round. That's kind of crazy. And then I think like the realistic, I think they had a third round grade on him, and then it's this refusal to play him even though Gabriel looks bad. So yeah, I'm with you. I'm kind of like rooting for him. I guess I don't really care if he's on the Browns or not. I just I'm hoping he kind of like succeeds a little bit. But yeah, it's kind of funny. Okay, man. Thanks so much for watching this clip of the Box Score Sports Podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to our channel. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter or X. And we'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.